Check, check, check. Well, hello everyone. How are you on this fine afternoon? It's this whole YouTube live thing has been fun, and every time I do one, I get better and better at, you know, setting up all the equipment. Actually, what I'm going to do right now is take a screenshot with my phone, which I'll post later to show you the craziness of this getup I got going on here. And normally, I've got this strung out on a 75-foot Ethernet cable into the woods to do these broadcasts or these live shows, T3Live, as I call it. But one thing I love about Oregon is one day it's summer and the next day it's winter. So, day before yesterday, it was 76 degrees, sunny, beautiful. Yesterday, 45 and dumping rain. But that's Oregon. That's the beauty of this place. Uh, One thing I can tell you, and it's one of the few things that are keeping me going at the moment is that here in Oregon we get 9 months, give or take, of rain a year, and our reward for that 9 months of rain is three-ish months of nice sunshine. Most of the time, the weather's 80s, high 70s, very little to no humidity, thank God. Um, and then, of course, you move into fire season, and that's always uh, scary, having a little pile of stuff right by your door that in case you have to get out of here, you know, you got your important stuff and you can hit the road. And then it actually happened a little bit later this year. I feel like the rain started later, but after 2 days of rain, the presence of the forest has completely changed. The 2 days ago, back when it was 70s, I was out. I was doing some work with the chainsaw, and I decided to put my camera on the gimbal and go shoot some footage in the woods. And you can just look and see everything is thirsty. The moss is thirsty, the plants are thirsty, and you can feel it, and the ground is so dry that the dirt is just like these little pebbles. And then, yesterday comes with I'm not sure exactly how much rain we got. And it's, a little bit rainy today. And you can feel the forest just breathing in that water. That's kind of a odd saying, but it's apropos. Yeah, you can feel the energy of the forest, especially the plant people just being thankful that the rains have finally came and the seasons are changing. As we transition from summer to fall, um, yeah, it's been an interesting last few months. Those of you who've been following along in my crazy world, I I was joking with my friend yesterday, and I was like, I feel like every plague known to man has been thrown upon me lately, and it's not letting up. I've I want to stop and say that this past Monday, my uncle Jim, who was voted recently, I think by People Magazine, as like the number one online, science guy. He's a disease researcher. Yeah, he had to be hospitalized. And as if that weren't bad enough, on Wednesday morning, I wake up to find out that Debbie Horrocks Brown, who was my father's second wife and the mother to my little brothers, Cody and River, had passed away due to pneumonia. She was, not much older than I am. I'll be 45 in a couple days here. She was, 10 or 12 years older than me. And, I loved her in my own way, as all stepchildren love their step parents in their own way. Um, and I am so sorry for, to her parents because they lost another child um, prematurely. He was actually the co-pilot of the second plane that crashed into the World Trade Center. Um, but I can imagine the pain they're feeling, losing two children. And then, trying to be there for my little brothers as best I can, and offering them the insights I've came up with since dealing with my own mother's passing, this last year. It's tough, you know, knowing that physical presence that you can count on and call and talk to and see, is no longer there. It's just it can be devastating, But I always tell everyone this, when they lose a loved one or a friend, now that person is omnipresent, you know, that being is omnipresent. It's all around. They're all around. Return to the source, and they are probably, all of our friends that we've lost over the years and family, are probably all in the next dimension that we move on to, which is hopefully a lot more peaceful than this one. And they're all on a beach somewhere having a good time. But yeah, I am I'm so sorry to the Horrocks family for their loss, and then mostly just to my little brothers, Cody and River. So if you're watching this and you know either of those two, um, you know, send them drop them a line on Facebook or Instagram. I think it'll do them some good. Um, yeah, just wondering, I've been contemplating lately, and this is something if you've gotten up into the philosophy classes, through my father's school, um, he plainly states, actually from the first philosophy class that, people like us, people who care about other human beings and care about the more than human world and want to see everybody happy and healthy, warriors of the light, as I like to call them. Um, there there are opposite forces out there working against those of us that try to bring good into the world. I recently listened to a great Stephen King book called Fairy Tale. I highly recommend it. And there was a line in there that struck me. It's bright people, uh, you know, or yeah, light people shine brighter in dark times and places. And a lot of people laugh, and he's saying, "Oh, he's talking about dark side and all this stuff and spirits and you know." I'm not trying to push my belief system on you in any way, shape, or form, but I've been around long enough and I've seen enough things that are unexplainable uh, to know that you know there's equality, there's good, and there's bad, light, dark, life, death, equal but opposite. So those forces that are out there, the ones seeking to divide us, the ones that profit off of us being angry at each other because person A doesn't believe exactly the same way that person B does. We've seen the death of nuance and all of these things that are to those of us that are true trackers, trackers of life, students of life, can just plainly and obviously see what's being done to us and how we're purposely being divided. And like I just, the other day I had to go and pick up a jack-o'-lantern for a really cool video I'm going to be doing soon, which I'm super excited for. That'll be up on my YouTube channel. But, I was loading this jack-o'-lantern into my car and I stop and I just turn around in 360-degree circle. And I just see all these people that are just, 90% of them are just face down in the phone. The rest, and it's sad. It's sad to see, you know, we are, our lifespans are so finite compared to nature time or cosmic time. I think back in my past, it's funny. I said this a while back, but my high school yearbook quote was, "The time I enjoy wasting is not wasted time." And I still have not been able to, although I haven't researched since real internet came around. This was 1997, keep in mind you. But I tried to research who said that quote and where it came from, and I still haven't done that. But, I think about all of the hours that I've spent doing things like, playing video games, which I don't do anymore, but, there have been times in my life where, played games from time to time and just how these, little snippets of time add up, you know. I think they say something like you spend uh, some ridiculous amount of time of your life just brushing your teeth, like a year total or something like that if you do it twice a day. So the moral of the story is our lives are short and we owe it to ourselves, we owe it to our loved ones to be present and be a bright, shiny being that they can look to for love, for help, for support when they need it. Um, Many years ago, when I made the decision to leave New Jersey and strike out on my own, that was one of the hardest decisions I had to make. But I made it because my inner vision told me that that was the move to make. And for the first 4 months after I made that decision, I was ready to throw the whole concept of inner vision out on its ass because, I was not in a good space. But eventually, that led to, me and uh, ended up leading into the best quarter of my life. I'll be 45 on November 3rd. What's that, so 10 days away. And I feel like ever since going through that, amazing quarter of my life, just everything since then has just been a struggle. Um, as my father before me, my goal is to wake people up, to show them the wonderful, majestic awesomeness that is the wilderness and the wild places, and to get them to realize that they aren't the only being on this planet, and the things that they do affect other beings. And also the awesomeness. I love teaching people to make things. Like the bow drill, for instance, the ancient fire making technique. I've been doing bow drill for 40 plus years, and even though I can never relive, my first experience picking up a bow drill kit, every time one of my students blows their first tinder bundle into flames in front of my eyes, I'm taken back to that moment in space and time when, I got my first fire, and that feeling that you yourself collected materials, used a tool, made that, use that tool to make another tool to make fire. Depending on who you talk to, we've been as an animal, and keep in mind by saying this, I'm saying all of our earlier iterations, not just Homo sapiens, but going all the way back. We've been using fire as a tool for around 2 million years. A lot of people theorize that fire is the reason how our species came to be, because when our early ancestors started cooking their food, it pre-digested it for them, allowing for more available energy from their food, which the body could then put to things like making your brain grow bigger. But yeah, so seeing that person blow that tinder bundle in the flames for the first time is amazing. I love teaching people skills that make them more self-reliant, and don't have to worry about, the system, the machine that governs everything from, what we eat for breakfast to all this equipment that I'm using to speak to you live, no matter where you may be in the world right now if you're watching. Uh, the problem is our technology has far outpaced our evolution. We're still designed, and I think this is also part of the reason why there's still why we haven't outgrown violence and things like that. Homo sapiens are still designed to live in small groups of no more than around 100 in a natural setting. And in a very short amount of time, we've gone from that to cramming ourselves into cities. And we're constantly, we can choose to take the viewpoint that we're constantly surrounded by strangers. You got to lock your door. We're in this country, we're fed a fear-based diet. Whereas if you go to other places, it's completely different. You know, are there bad people out there? Absolutely. You know, but there's way more good people out there. You know, so just get rid of that fear. If we are going to lead a better life, not only as an individual but as a community and a species, we need to rekindle that fire of community, of helping each other when when we need it. When as the title of this episode is, knowing when to ask for help, because a lot of people don't. You know, a lot of people don't. Um, and as far as myself goes, asking for help is something that uh, is difficult for me to do. Um, when it comes to stupid things like dishes or cleaning, I'll ask for help. But when it comes to like the serious, meaty issues, I find it a struggle, to say, hey, y'all, I'm struggling here and I need some support. So, long story short, I have been learning, the skills that I teach, the skills of all of our ancestors, um, my whole life since I was born. Obviously, you all should know who my father is, Tom-Brown Jr. Um, growing up in that environment, being surrounded by people from all walks of life, coming to learn how to live differently, to live a better life, to live a nature-centric life, to stop chasing the false gods of the flesh, to stop uh, thinking that, more money is going to make you happy or a nicer car is going to make you happy, and learn that true happiness can only be cultivated within ourselves. But, back to help, I have, very recently, um, I've been out here in Oregon teaching for 5 and a half, I think Valentine's Day. is when we moved here, or so, almost 6 years. And in that time, I've been teaching, and, working with an organization around here that's awesome and gets so many kids in the woods. I mean, Trackers Earth is amazing. The number of children that they get in the woods every year is just astounding. And when I first came out here, and still to this day, I am so thankful for that. Because otherwise, those kids might not, have those nature experiences. And that's one of the things that terrifies me about, uh, you know, future generations. I'm so thankful that I'm of the age that, even though I had a unique upbringing, that cell phones weren't around when I was a kid, and computers weren't around when I was a kid. Well, they were, but they had green numbers and letters. Uh, yeah, I'm so thankful that, to go play, you went outside. And what really terrifies me is, in my 22 years of teaching, I've primarily taught adults. Let's say 95% of my teaching has been adults, but I have taught my fair share of kids programs. And, 20 years ago when I started teaching, you'd get a group of kids and they would just all be so excited about whatever you were doing, whatever you were showing them. And now, I see kids out in the woods that are just, I hear them talking to their friends, and I just want to go home and play Minecraft or do this or do that, or, you know, and they're not having those same experiences that, us older folk had. And what really scares me is, when those kids come to power, you know, and, get into their 40s, what is the world going to be like in 30 years, plus years? And B, because a lot of those kids in a lot of different places don't have those nature experiences, they're going to have no problem signing laws and legislations and bills to level forests and dig mines and do this to get the resources we need for the iPhone 27, because it's going to be so much cooler than the iPhone 26. Sad but true. Sad but true. Anyway, so a few other things I wanted to talk about. So, as I mentioned, I've been here for a while. Been teaching adults, and long story short, you guys have kept up. This the story of me starting Future Nature and T3 photography, for my photo and video work, and um, I did so under the understanding that I was going to, you know, have a partnership with a local organization that would, you know, allow me to use their land to run classes, and we would, do affiliate classes and things like that. Um, I when I was designing Future Nature, I built my business plan around my 1 through 3 business year plan around that. And then to recently find out that that is no longer an option, I find myself, forgive me if there's children listening, but up shit's creek. Uh, I was, and, I broke rule number 1 that I tell a lot of my students. You should never have expectations on anything. Expectations are killers. But, you know, I literally thousands of hours of work have been thrown out, and I'm back to the starting point, but I'm not starting from the same place, physically, mentally, and financially as I was when I first built Future Nature. I'm going to put a rather long uh, set of words in the description of this episode, and those of you who are subscribed to my email newsletter through my website will get a copy as well. Um, just talking about it a little bit more, and ways that you can potentially assist me realize my dream, which is that my dream is to give away nature education to anybody and everybody who wants it. I get calls and, from people, and they want to book a private class, whether it's a 1-day class or 2-day class. And, you talk about all the details and the cool things you're going to teach them. And as I'm having this conversation, I just feel the dread of when you get to the point of money. How much is it going to cost me? What is my time worth? How much of my hard-earned money do I want to spend on taking a class with T3? I hate it. One of the reasons I hate it is because if all of your ancestors, way, way back ancestors, were not masterful at the skills that I teach, you wouldn't be here to watch this video or take a class with me. So there's some irony right there for you. Plus, I also, yeah, I want everyone and anyone and everyone to have access to it. So how I'm going to make that happen, we'll see. Wow, you guys hear that thunder? Crazy. It's a sign. But anyway, I was going to keep this one short tonight because, I'm still working through some stuff with my recent family health stuff. But some things I wanted to announce that are coming up. I still have my online classes that I'm doing. You can pick them individually. They're 2.5 hours long, $100. You get a copy of the recording afterwards, or you can sign up for the all-in-one deal and get all 7 of them for like $450, which is a really good deal because it's a lot of information. Some other exciting things. So Adam LaRue and I, we have coming up right after my birthday. I just want to pull my calendar out. I don't have it. We are running some classes together. A few weeks back, we did a class called Foraging the Waterways. That was super awesome. If you're watching, tomorrow night I am doing a wild edibles plant webinar from 4 to 6:30. But let's see here. Yeah, so November 5th and 6th, we are doing a mushrooms, potentially doing, or sorry, we're doing a mushrooms basics class down at my buddy Adam LaRue's place, The Sharpening Stone in Wolf Creek, Oregon, which is about 4 hours south of Portland. We had a conversation last night. Obviously, mushrooms like to grow after it rains. The rains haven't hit as hard there yet, So we're keeping our fingers crossed, but I think the class will still go off, um, you know, still go off just fine. If they're, because they essentially get very similar weather to us. So after that, actually the weekend after that, we're doing another class called Tracks and Trapping. That's on the 12th and 13th of November, and that is going to explore the art of a few different primitive traps, and more importantly, the tracking skills needed to know how to be an effective trapper. Uh, if you're in a survival situation, traps are great because they're easy to make, even if you just have a rock with a sharp edge. And if I set 10 traps, I can be hunting in 10 places at once, and then also be out hunting with my throwing stick. Another one that we are doing is we've decided to postpone it until the spring because hide tanning in Oregon in winter sucks. But we have a class called Skin and Bones because we're both tall, skinny dudes. But basically, during that class, you will learn how to skin and process a rabbit. How to butcher it, cut it up in such a way so that there's no waste, or little or no waste. And then you will bark tan that hide. On the downtime, we will work on bone tools. So everything from arrowheads to fish hooks, to needles, to awls for punching holes in the leather. Bone tools. Learning how to make bone tools is a critical wilderness skill because yes, you can. I don't think I have one here close by. There's the art of flint knapping, which is making sharp tools out of stone, but you can't do that with every rock you find. They have to be a certain type of rock, and that they only exist in kind of little pockets around the country. But you can find animal bones just about everywhere, including Petco. So yeah, it's a good practice tip. Get those big femur bones if you have a dog and let them chew on them, get all the nasty off, and then you can take those and use those for bone tools. So yeah, so we're going to push that back until the spring, and then we're also coming up with we're going to come up with a series of classes, and we're also going to be doing some video collaboration. I highly recommend that you check out Adam's YouTube channel as well. I will put it in the show notes. But he was working with Les Stroud for a while on Les's show on wild foods, and Les convinced him to start a show. And Adam is an awesome solo filmmaker, and his episodes are short and awesome. And yeah, so we want to do some of those together as well. On that note, I am also willing. Wow, that was a big lightning bolt. Uh, I'm always willing to work with other organizations that share the same vision as me. I can be booked for private classes. I will go anywhere. So, if you want, send me an email, contact me through my website. If you want a private class, if you want a class for you and just your family or your friend groups, I can do that. Another thing I do, service I offer, is to come to your property and take photos of the beautiful nature that you have there, and then agree on a certain amount of prints you want me to print for you, so you can have awesome photos lining your walls like I do of nature that is literally just outside your back door. But I'm going to be adding some more online classes as well. So stay tuned for that. And then, as I said, here tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to be sending out a blog post on ways, I ask that if you've ever been positively affected by nature or nature education, to help me over this hump if you can. Um, Everybody and anybody who donates anything to me will get some sort of gift, depending on the level of donation. Everything from some nice wallpapers for your computer to a, 10-day private class. So, yeah. So I'll put those details in the show notes. Um, Once again, I want to thank you all for choosing to spend a little bit of your Saturday afternoon watching me. And I look forward to next episode and hopefully having some uh, better news and just some more general positivity. But until then, peace and love. Hug your loved ones. Um, be a kind person. Be truly helpful. Love you all. Peace and love.